Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm Amanda.
I'm Peggy.
You're watching the Junction Fiber Mill Millcast.
Yeah.
And this is weird. It's Friday.
It's Friday, and it's at the end of a long day at the mill.
Yes.
We usually are fresh on a
Fresh
Monday
on a
morning.
Monday.
And yeah, I have no makeup on, and I've been...
You've been milling all day?
I've been cranking in the mill.
Yeah.
And it's been pouring rain, so the humidity... Yeah, we're at 66% humidity.
It was wild. It's been going from like kind of sunnyish skies to like it literally looked like night at about 11 a.m. today.
It was pretty dark. But anyway.
Anyway, the reason we're recording on Friday afternoon is unlike what we previously mentioned, which is we're going to the Cape and we're going to check out this pin drafter.
There will be some checking going on, but we're not both disappearing to the Cape.
No, I am keeping my plans.
Yeah, you are
to go
keeping
to the
your
Cape
plans
because I just need a beach vacation. But
yeah. And you'll get a peek at it. So we'll see how that goes, and more on that another time. But you just had a terrific interview.
Yes, so I just sat down with Ona Woldten, who's here for the open house tonight. She is the pattern designer of the Tørkle, which is the pattern that we're all knitting for the knit along.
I am loving it.
Me too. I actually had to stop myself from going any further.
Well, I forgot you said, Peg, don't go too far. I don't have mine with me.
You gave me the look of like, I switched to a sneaky second pattern that I've got in my
very
my
good.
other project bag.
And I don't have mine with me because I didn't know we weren't going to the Cape. So
yeah, this is unplanned, but I do have mine with me, I'll show off my progress.
Remind me, is yours Leaves in the Brook?
Leaves in the Brook.
So you've just...
this is In the Clearing.
Oh, In the Clearing, right. So you've got a little of that blue coming on.
Yeah, I do, and I am just loving
it. Show this side. Oh, man, that's beautiful.
Yes.
Oh.
So that's the progress, and again, we're sorry we're a little unplanned because it's Friday.
I'm at about the same spot.
Okay, so this is where I decided to halt until we recorded the Millcast, so I'm going to feel free to keep going, but I've got to say, we're going to be flying through these before October, but if it's taking you a while, you've got until October.
Yeah.
But to my mind, and this happened when I knit Ona's holiday stocking pattern as well, I have never knit something so quickly as this because you just get hooked on it.
Well, you get to the little section that is, do 12, then 10, 12, it's very fun. It's very fun.
But anyways, so Ona is here for the open house this Friday afternoon because she's here to talk about the knit along. And
and if anybody locally has questions, they can come in and ask her.
Yeah, she lives just over in Rochester, so it's great to have her, and she agreed to sit down for a little interview, which you'll see now. All right, Ona, thank you for joining us. We have Ona Woldten. Did I pronounce your last name right? Woldten?
Woldten, yes.
Woldten?
Yeah.
In the mill today. Thank you for coming by ahead of our open house tonight.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome. I'm so excited to be here, and the response to the little Tørkle Cal has been absolutely incredible, and I am just so incredibly grateful. Seriously.
We, to be honest, did not put a whole lot of marketing thought into this knit along, and it has really surprised us how many people have been interested. Peggy just sort of one day was like, Ona brought us this amazing sample. We've been looking at it for months. She was interested in making it, and so I said, oh, Peggy, maybe if you knit it, we could do a knit along and people would be interested. And then I was like, oh, I should do it too, and then people can see it in a different color. And then from there, we're like, yep, let's throw it on the Millcast next week. And then all of a sudden, we've had a lot of folks deciding to join us.
It's awesome. Well, one of the things I think is really great with the Tørkle is that, when we're thinking about Rhinebeck and going to a big show and really wanting to showcase, a project that we've all worked on together, I think a sweater is intimidating, at least for me.
Yes.
So to just do a scarf, I think it's a little bit more approachable, and then we have the time to do it.
And I want to show, we've showed it on the Millcast before, but this is what we're talking about, folks. This is, how do you pronounce it?
I just say Tørkle.
Tørkle. As someone who's been sort of on and off studying Danish for years, when I see the O, I'm like, I have to say it right. And
I love it.
Tørkle. I don't know. But, and what is a Tørkle?
It's just a little scarf, scarflet. And I have the Sjal, which is just a bigger version of the same thing.
And that's spelled S-J-A-L. Yes, we also have it here, and it's enormous, beauty. How many skeins? Do you remember how many skeins this one took?
I want to say I did, I think you needed about 4 of the making tracks and 2 of the Farm Fresh.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one
I think it comes out to 5 skeins total. So, and I say that, you know, when I write 5 skeins, it's because technically you could do it with 5 skeins.
Yep.
But if you want to do it this way, you'd need 4 and 2. And I picked out some of your colors.
Okay.
So, for instance, now let's say you were working with these 2 colors. Now a lot of the things I'm doing are with a solid and with a variegated yarn, but you could do 2 variegated yarns, in which case then you could interchange what you're using for your contrast color.
Oh, I see.
And what you're using for your main color.
Right.
In which case you really would need only the 5 skeins.
Right.
Because
so that's
then you
sort
could
of total yarn length.
Yes. So
okay.
you can like mix and match then and say,
Yeah.
oh, maybe sometimes this is the contrast color and sometimes that's the main color.
And I've seen you knit your patterns as well. So all the collection that we're sort of focusing on in this conversation is the Lindell collection, which features this sort of almost leaf-like short row shapes, sort of bordered by what, you know, in a lot of the samples you've knit for us, they've been solids and the leaves have been sort of variegated. But you've also made the shapes with just different color solid skeins or marled skeins, which has a different effect. It doesn't sort of have this gradient, but you can do that as well.
And it works great if you just have a bunch of scrap yarn lying around. Just pick up those scraps. The way I write the pattern, it's by shape, and I have a little coloring sheet that goes with it.
Yep.
So you can write in on this color, in this shape, I'm going to do this color. This shape, I'm going to do this color.
Yep.
And then you can mirror it too. So even if you had junction fiber, like little leftover partials, you could just mirror those and make it whatever.
That would be, so we do have a bin of, it's, the small skeins that sort of are at the end of our run, but they're only available in person, so you got to come to our open house to buy them. But that's a great idea too.
Yeah, I'll just show a couple of these other ones that I pulled out. So this is your Seacoast.
Yep.
And then, what is this guy? This is In the Clearing.
Yep.
Yeah, so those 2 together would be beautiful.
You have such a way of picking colors. I would never, like when you brought this in, I just want to show, so I knit a version of this. Ona knit this one and brought this in for us. This is Vermont Vice with an old version of Red Hots. Right now we have a version that doesn't have the orange in it. But I just fell in love, and I never would have put like hot pink and bright red together. And similar to this, I would never have put these together, but I bet you they would look amazing.
And here's another one. This is your Creamsicle, which I'm just falling in love with, and it makes a great neutral. So if you're looking for something that's not white, this is a great choice. Yeah. And then put that with this Honeycomb. I mean, I think that's beautiful together, and you'll just get, this has subtle transition of color, and so is this. So it'll be very, gradual what you're seeing when you knit these 2 together. But I think together they'd be really, really lovely.
Well, for anybody watching today thinking, shoot, I missed the knit along, it started August 1st. Not really. You have until Rhinebeck to complete it, which is in mid-October, and I have to say this pattern is knitting up really quickly.
Oh my gosh, the things I've seen online already, I get so excited when somebody tags me and shows me their work. I don't even care if it's just the first cast online. I love seeing it. I get super excited. I'm so thrilled. And then to see the progress along the way.
It's so fun.
It's awesome.
And like I said, some of these colors, so we make the yarn and like we feel like we really know the colors, but we're not knitting every skein up ourselves. And furthermore, with the variegated, with the making tracks, every skein is unique. So some of these colorways, I was the person who's been packaging these up. I see all the skeins go out and I still see them on Instagram and I'm like, I would never have guessed that knitted up that way. And it looks beautiful. Someone posted their work in progress with Easter egg, and I was like, wow,
oh gosh, that was pretty.
That color looks so beautiful.
It really is pretty.
Yeah.
And I haven't even tried that color yet, so I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to try that one.
Yeah.
And then there was another one, I can't remember which one it was. I just saw somebody else did. I'm like, oh my gosh, I absolutely have to get that. Oh, this one. I don't know why. I love this color.
So, that's one of the
haven't done
kits.
this yet.
Okay, I got to show you my work in progress. This is a good time because that's what I'm knitting. So this is the In the Clearing. That's sort of it in a ball. And I am just loving it. Okay, it looks so like a little rat's nest right now, but excuse that. You can see sort of how the colors are changing and I'm just loving it.
It's gorgeous. It's really gorgeous.
It's so fun. I love knitting with with the making tracks. It's just so beautiful. So I feel like I'm tooting my own horn, with the knit, but this is such a unique way to knit. And I first knit your pattern designs when I did the holiday stocking, and it just so takes me out of my not comfort zone. It almost like reinvigorates knitting for me to see how you can make shapes in the short row method. It's just so different than, normally I sort of feel like I'm a 3D printer, going round and round and like slowly making a garment usually, and everything's sort of on a linear plane. This is not that. This is like it's almost like painting a little bit.
Well, and your yarn makes it. Really makes it, because you get addicted. You're like, oh my gosh, this color is really cool. Well, I want to see what color comes into the next shape. So you'll keep going, and I'll think, oh, I'm just going to knit this one shape tonight, but maybe I want to do 2. And then you're like, oh, I did 2. I might as well just do 1 more. So
that's how
I can see the color.
It feels. Well, and because and with the Tørkle. So it's 200, or it's like, over 200 stitches that you cast on, which is a lot.
Yes.
And it feels like, oh man, this is going to be a big project. And sometimes, especially at the beginning, you are going that full length of the scarf or the scarflet. But then when you get to the shapes, it becomes really fast because you're doing like 11, 16, it's just like, oh, I can do 1 more. I can do 1 more. So
and I've got a little trick for you. Okay, so this is what for long tail cast on.
Yep.
I mean, this is maybe not a tried and true method, and I'm not sure how other people do it. So if you write in, I'd love to hear how you do your long tail cast on. Sometimes I have enough, sometimes I don't. But
you heard it here from a pattern designer, folks. You're not alone if that happens.
So what I like to do is I will grab the yarn and measure it out the width of my arms. So for 100 stitches. So if you've got about 100 stitches to cast on, if you just kind of go like that, well, I don't know, what is that? 3, 5, 4?
5?
I don't know what it is.
Like something Isn't it about your height that way? Anyway.
So the width of your arms, I kind of go, that's 100 stitches, that's 100 stitches. So
I do the method where you wrap it around the needle. So I'll do like 20 wraps, and then I'll sort of be like, okay, that's 20, 40, 60, and then I'll, double it back when I get to like a bigger number. But
I certainly wing a lot.
Well, so tell us more about what other tips and tricks, or anything particularly about the cowl. So we had a little notes that came with.
And I would say markers are number 1. So if you use your markers, I use rainbow markers, and it works for me. So I know, like on this particular piece, if I've got red on either end, and then orange is next, and the yellow and the green. So I have done it so many times now. I know red is 1, and orange is 2, and yellow is 3. So I just know that. But if you have markers, I've seen some really cool ones people have been posting. Little beads with numbers on them.
I know. I've just got. They're all random, and I'm just counting. So if you don't have special markers, you can do it, but you're gonna have to be a lot more careful about what's where. And I had to undo like 2 long rows because I was like just a little bit, I misread the directions. So that does happen. Just take a breath.
Yeah. And the other thing is like, don't stress. Just like take a look at it. If it's not quite looking right, back up. And the nice thing about this yarn too, is that if you do have to rip out stitches and back up like a whole shape even, lie it down on a counter, rip out those stitches, and they'll just stay there because this is non-superwash wool, and it just sticks so nice. So it's really easy to pick those stitches back up because you're just kind of slowly going on. And as long as it's on a flat surface, they're not going to just unravel.
So that's a great tip. And, something I never really even think about because we only process natural non-superwash wool here, so I'm just like, I've actually never even knit with superwash wool, so I don't know what it does, but that's really great. Another added bonus.
So one other thing I'd like to just throw in here is about if you do need a little bit more tech support or some more additional help with the pattern. My friends Ashley and Grayson at Hermit Thrush Fiber are amazing.
Hermit Thrush.
Yeah, so you can go on their website. You can, they have a place where you can
We'll link it in the show notes.
And you can book online a time slot to talk to them. They know all the patterns. They're amazing knitters. And this is another thing about being a designer. Some people think, a designer is also a teacher. I feel like there's a big difference between being a designer and being an instructor.
Okay, that makes sense.
I design, but it's kind of like the person that does math, and they can add those numbers together in their head and write it down.
Yeah.
I kind of am doing that a lot of the time, but I couldn't tell you step by step how I got from A to B, whereas a good instructor can tell you how to get from A to B piece by piece by piece. And Ashley and Grayson are amazing at that.
That's a really great plug because Peggy and I certainly aren't knitting instructors either. That said, we have gotten a few questions that I'd like to just throw out there, some quick answers on the Millcast. So I deduced this, and I think many people have, and I have to say I love it. The little check boxes on the pattern. People said, what the heck is with the small boxes on the pattern? So if you're in the knit along and you have Ona's pattern, you've seen there's little boxes from time to time.
And so you don't have to keep, if you're somebody that wants to, I don't know, if you're the kind of person that wants to write it down, I did this row, I did this row, I did this row. You could just check it off, or color it in.
Yeah,
I do it for me because that's what I end up doing. I'm put little tick marks. I'm like, why am I putting all these tick marks?
Absolutely genius. I don't know why I've never seen that on another knitting pattern. I also have done the same thing. So the fact that they're built in is great. I've been using them a lot because your pattern, it's advertised for an experienced or adventurous novice.
Yes.
I actually think, the technical skills are not that difficult. You're just knitting and wrapping and turning.
Yes, exactly.
But you have to count.
Yes.
And so it's sort of like a paint by number where you just have to keep following line by line. You got to make sure you set it up correctly with your stitch markers. But those check boxes sure make it handy to find out where I am without having to have some app or some other piece of paper traveling with it. So I think that's great. And so if the check boxes aren't working for you and your traditional way of keeping track works, just ignore them. But they might be helpful. You could try them out.
Yeah.
The other one we've gotten is just some clarification about what it means about the wrap and turns. And I didn't include, because it was a printed copy that we have been sending people with the pattern, your instructions about wrap and turn versus German short row versus whatever. So maybe, we've had one person write in about it, but people just want clarification. So when you say wrap and turn, you just mean a simple wrap and turn.
This is as simple as it gets, seriously. It's just literally you've got your loops on your needle. You're just literally moving one over, pulling the yarn forward and moving that same one back.
Yeah.
I am not picking up stitches. I am not doing anything special. I am not going back and collecting those wraps later.
Yep.
If you like to do that, if you're familiar with these techniques and you want to do that, please do that. But I don't want this to be difficult. One of the things that does, because I'm not picking up stitches, it might leave a tiny little hole because of the nature of that process.
Yeah.
But that doesn't bother me. If it bothers you, I say pick up those wraps. But it
totally
doesn't bother
optional.
me. It looks like a little, if you're knitting in a looser gauge or with a bigger needle, it leaves a lacy effect along that line, and I think it's really pretty. If you hold that up to the light, as long as you're consistent with how you're doing that, you're going to get a beautiful lacy effect where those wraps and turns are happening.
Great. I think that's awesome. And one more that just popped into my mind is what to do with the floats or cutting or what? What is your recommendation?
Okay, so if you're working with Junction Fiber Mill yarn, again, because it's non-superwash, it is just going to naturally felt in there. So you can leave your floats. I know Ashley, when she knit her Tørkle, she left the floats in there.
I'll show you. I've got mine. That's what I'm... It's on one side or the other. Which end am I thinking about?
And sometimes they get a little long. On the Tørkle itself, they're only occurring on one side of the scarf, not the other side.
So this is one end of the scarf, and you can see I've got some longer floats, but I'm not that worried about it. Peggy's cutting hers, and I've heard from other folks that they're cutting theirs as well. And and that's what you did here, correct?
Absolutely. Well, did I do that here? Yes, I cut, and where's the end?
Oh, here we go. Yep. So you can see they're woven.
I did, and it's a little felted here. You can kind of see where I cut and sewed those in, and it's a little messy. Actually, I've gotten better at doing this. This actually looks horrible to me, but yes. So I think if you follow the stitches when you're doing the sewing work, it's a lot better. I just wrapped it and tucked it in.
That was, sample made. Moving on.
But yeah, so you can either, and especially so if you're using partials, you're gonna wanna cut those and then move to your next color anyway. But the other thing is if you're trying to do the mirrored effect, so for instance, you want this side to match this side with the same color, you can make like a little bobbin winding and put that off to the side. And then pick it back up when you come back to that shape.
Interesting.
So then you're only having to sew in half the amount of ends that you would.
You would basically set aside the amount of yarn you'll need to do the next shape.
Ish.
Or leave. Interesting.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
A fantastic idea too.
And the way I deal with those is, I know this is going to sound horrible too, because I don't like to use plastic, but I do use sandwich bags. So I'll take that little bit of yarn or whatever that bobbin you've just wound, I'll put it in a sandwich bag, seal the end so it's not.
That's a great tip.
Catching on everything else, and just let that kind of dangle along. It can get heavy after a while, but it works. And then you can, when you come back to that shape, you just knit with that color and. And then you cut it, and then you don't have too many ends to sew back in.
That's a fantastic tip for that, and that's for variation A, not for variation B. It's just
right, because you're not picking them back up.
Yeah, awesome. Well, you brought a few topics that you wanted to discuss.
So I wanted to talk about our Fibershed and the Fibershed movement, and really encourage people to join up. If you haven't heard about your local Fibershed or looked into this before, I think it's an amazing organization based out of California. Now I know you know a bit more about this than I do.
So if we have viewers from all over. So the initial organization, and I think like the mothership, as they say, is in California. But we, in this area, if you're local to the mill, we've got the Northern New England Fibershed. That's sort of based around Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, doing a lot of interesting things, including
the design challenge. So recently they put out a call for a design challenge, and the finished work doesn't have to be ready till next year, something like July of next year.
It's like a year.
Yes. And what I'm concerned about is that people think that this is just for designers. It is not. It has nothing to really do with designers.
It's about making.
Yes. So you could pick any pattern you want and knit it in local fiber. And that's the focus, really putting the focus on local organizations that are making fiber, your farmers, your sheep, your natural dyes, like really learning about the process. And trying to incorporate that more into your work. And I think it's a great organization. I think the values are really what I want to work towards being in line with myself. And so I would like to encourage people to sign up for this.
And we'll link it in the show notes. I mentioned it before. I'm signed up. I don't know what I'm going to make yet, but I've got a little bit of time to figure that out. Are you going to do it?
I'm absolutely doing it, yes. I have a new collection I want to release with that or do for that.
Oh, that's exciting.
Which will be fun. But I've been traveling around the state and visiting farms and just loving meeting people.
Wow.
But I really want to do that, and I'd like to encourage other people to do that. And the other thing is, if you're not a designer and you want to choose a pattern for this, why not look in Ravelry, you can search by state and find a designer in your hometown.
When we were, putting out our call for local designers through the Millcast, we got a lot of comments about Ravelry. So we are learning slowly but surely how to get savvy around Ravelry.
But then you're working with, a local pattern designer, your local farm, your local yarn, or maybe your hand spinning, which I think is fabulous. And I've not done it myself, but I want to learn. So
there's so many ways to be involved. And it sounds like, the rules, is it you interpret what your Fibershed rules are? Are they hard and fast,
Well, I think the process is really documenting your work.
Okay.
And I think what they're looking for is to find, the holes in the system. How far is it for you to go to find a good local fiber? Is that in your backyard? Is that, an hour away from your home? Where is your closest mill? Do you know where your closest mill is? And then even with the dyes, what's being grown in your yard or your neighbor's backyard? Is it something you can use to dye with? Onions are an easy, so I think there's so much to learn. I
can't wait to see what people do.
I think it's very exciting.
Yeah, that's great. Well, did you have anything else you wanted to share with the viewers?
Just thank you from the bottom of my heart to you, to Peggy, and everybody here. I mean, your staff is incredible.
Oh,
everybody is wonderful, and thank you everyone again who has been knitting this pattern. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Well, we better get ready for the open house, so we'll wrap up here. But thank you so much for coming on, Ona.
Bye.
That was terrific.
Yeah, it's great to be able to work with a local designer, and we're just so thrilled that Ona just approached us, likes our yarn, and has been sort of off to the races doing a lot of
I gotta be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised at the response to the knit along.
I know.
It's very fun. We have quite the crowd knitting with us, so we hope you guys have done your cast on or will soon and are enjoy as much as we are.
And we've been following on social media. If you're not on social media, like we said last time, just send us an email.
Absolutely, yeah.
And when you're done, we will enter you to win a prize, which will be drawn.
Yeah, but how fun
to
see the same pattern.
So fun. I saw one, I mentioned this in the interview too, but that Easter egg was like such a shock how it was coming out. It looks like just beautiful colors. I would never have guessed. So
that's good.
Anyways.
Yeah, so we've been busy in the mill.
Different week this week than the previous few.
Well, we had done some of Tammy White, so we kind of got back into custom processing, but this week has been custom processing all the time.
Yep.
And we usually just show skeins, and I want to show you, look at this. Gorgeous.
Ooh.
It's a lightweight.
And it hasn't been rinsed, so you can tell it'll bloom.
Right. But this is Romney, and it just, oh gosh, it looks great. This is Flora and Fauna Farm in upstate New York. They will be at Rhinebeck, and we're really excited that this, along with several other colorways, will be there. She's just got a beautiful flock of Romney. Yeah. It's immaculate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just incredible. So
there's a big range on Romney, but this is some really lovely stuff.
She's got some gorgeous stuff.
Yeah, and it's been fun because we've actually had some smaller custom processing jobs, so you get like something different every day.
Right.
Part of the challenge with that is that we're completely sort of reinventing the wheel in a way every time with the spinner. You're not just sort of on autopilot with it, so it does slow things down a bit. But that's sort of what we're in the business of with custom processing.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's gone well. So I'm looking forward to the open house.
I know. We've actually got like 17 minutes, so we're going to wrap this up here.
Yeah.
We're going to cut to some footage from the open house. Hopefully it went well, and we'll check in
We'll
with you after there.
We'll let you know in a few minutes if it went well.
All right.
All right. See you in a little bit.
Ready?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's 2 hours that flew by.
And the weather couldn't be worse, but we had so many super nice people come
Unbelievable. I couldn't get over how many people had never been here before and how far they drove.
They were coming from like far away New Hampshire, Maine.
Manchester, Keene.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Boy, thank you guys for those of you who are watching who made the drive. In miserable weather, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Great open house.
We had about 9 more people join the knit along. That's exciting.
That's fun.
I think Ona had a good showing too for the pattern. So thank you for coming. Yeah. Got another one first Friday in September. So
woo,
put it on your calendar. All right,
incredible.
We're going to sleep.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.